أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين لإيلاف قريش إيلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف فليعبدوا رب هذا البلد الذي أطعمهم من جوع وآمنهم من خوف. Blessed is the man that worketh not in the counsel of the heathen, that sitteth in the seat that is scornful, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in this law that see ideated sunrise and sundown. Him I go there like a tree planted by the rivers of water that bringeth fat, fruit in his season. Him leaf never I go wither, and whatsoever him do shall prosper. Yea! The heathen them now, they saw them there like a chaff, which the wind driveth away. Therefore the heathen them never go stand upon judgment, and see them on them in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord God Jah, loveth the way of the righteous and the way of the sinner among them. Always and always I go perish. Let my people, the people of the Most High God, say Jah! Kadama we groma be ate la e higzag beer tanayistalin abba shante 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 kadama we groma be ate la e. This is the Black Pot, aka Kukushunamo, where we speak truth to power. And remember, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High Jah shall therein abide under the shadow of the Almighty. This is that pot. Not just any other pot, but the pot that is black. The Black Pot, aka Kukushonamo, where we speak truth to power. And my name, Blakk RASTA. Now in every traditional African home there is a Black Pot. Now the Black Pot is complemented with very beautiful ingredients, sumptuous. They come in different sizes, flavors, and even aromas and colors. They all find themselves into the Black Pot. So they are subjected to some amount of heat, and then they produce one homogeneous product known as food. And the food does not benefit them, but rather benefit us, the eaters, the consumers. Now, selfless as the ingredients and of course the Black Pot are, we must also replicate that on the continent of Africa and beyond. Now the Black Pot represents the continent of Africa. Now the ingredients in the Black Pot represent us as a people. Just as the ingredients in the Black Pot have decided to put aside all their differences and come together and produce food, we as a people must also put aside our differences. It doesn't matter our religion, our creed. It doesn't even matter our skin tone. What matters is that we come together in one love, peace, and unity, and be subjected to some amount of sacrifice so we can produce development for our people, our continent, our land, especially generations to come. We must be a tree planting generation. Yes, tree planting generation. We must move away from planting those seasonal crops. We plant them because we want to eat, die, and forget. But my brother, my sister, we are looking at the generations to come. We must be a generation of tree planters. We must be that Joshua generation. This is the Black Pot, aka Kukushonamo, where we speak truth to power. And my name, Blakk RASTA. We are live on Pan-African TV, Africa's only Pan-African TV, and we are also live on Ghana Web TV. We are also live on Loud Silence TV and live on our own TV, Black Empire TV. We are masters of Pan-Africanism. Everywhere you go, we are number one. when it comes to Pan-Africanism on TV. Pick up our numbers on the screen. Do business with us. We are ready to advertise your product. And of course, we hope to do business with you. And we hope to see the continent of Africa develop beyond aid. This is the Black Pot, aka Kukushonomo. And over here, we normally do not criticize. If we must criticize, we would only just criticize to build and not to destroy. This service of God and country. And I'm thankful that you have joined me. This is the Black Pot, aka Kukushonomo, where we speak truth to power. And the very first thing I'm looking at today is rolling on your screens. Watch it, watch it, watch it. It says what? McNeil apologizes ahead of disgraced Ghana presidential security. Listen, this is McNeil. I don't know him. I don't know his music. I'm not a fan of McNeil. But from today, I have become his fan. He has gained my respect. How many of us think that gangster rappers in America have no respect? Gangster rappers in America look down on anybody and everybody. But McNeil has proven to all of us that no, he's ready to be that respectful African. McNeil has proven to us that no, he's a decent guy. He has gained my respect. He has been bashed left, right, and center for going into the presidency to shoot a music video. He was invited into the presidency via the daughter of Nana Akufo-Addo, Jankuma. Now this daughter of the president, who said her father has performed stellar as president and has gained the mockery of Ghanaians, decided to invite McNeil to meet with the father. And he went to meet the father wearing shorts and something that looked like a singlet. See? An underwear. He took it to meet with the president. In our culture, this is not done. But Jankuma, the daughter of the president, did not see anything wrong with it because she herself probably was not raised here. The father went to school in England. When she speaks, you realize that this is a person with a foreign accent. So it means that she's been plying between Ghana and England or some other country whose accent she has adopted. Unless she adopted it locally, which I doubt. She didn't see anything wrong with this. Took this person to go and meet the president. And it was not in camera. They decided to meet with the president with cameras all over the place, filming everything. Ghanaians saw it and got mad. No Ghanaian artist, no serious-minded African would go to meet a president in Africa and be dressed like somebody who just broke jail. Jankuma did not see anything wrong with that. And Ghanaians started talking. Should I blame McNeil for that? McNeil says he's in his 30s and he's gained my respect with 2 tweets that he has released. Watch what he says. The first tweet says, "My apologies to the people if any disrespect. We still gonna push to make the connection between Black Africa in America and Africa. What I am trying to do is more than a video, and you should see coming soon. My apologies to the office also." The second one says, "To the people of Ghana, no video I drop is ever meant to disrespect the people of Ghana. The fastest way to make connection is through music, and I want to do that with displaying art. I am in my 30s from America and don't know much about the lifestyle here." Oh, what a guy. Has he not gained your respect? I see some people insult him. Oh, this is an artist who has fallen on bad days. He's a done artist. In other words, he's finished and all that. And I have made it clear. Listen, McNeil, in terms of influence and relevance, is far ahead of over 99% of all Ghanaian artists. Where McNeil's music has reached, 99% of all Ghanaian music, as it is now, has not reached there. Why do you call him a dead artist? Why do you disrespect him? Because your disrespectful, irresponsible president and his daughter allowed him into a place that he had no idea of. He's an American, raised in America, partly raised in jail. He comes out of jail. He wants to experience the African thing. He comes home with the African spirit. He's happy to see so many Africans around him, and he wants to be part of these wonderful people. Interacting with everybody. First, you stole his phone. He made it known. The phone is like your father or your mother in these times. When you lose your phone, it's like you've lost your father. It's like you've lost your mother. It might be an overestimation. But my brother, my sister, that's how important a phone is. Through your phone, you can connect to all your bank accounts. Through your phone, in fact, your whole life is centered around the phone, depending on what you use your phone for. It's even for security. You can see who is knocking at your house, who wants to break into your house on your phone. What you want to eat, you can get that through your phone by just a simple order. So Meek loses his phone. He's lost contact in a world that is so robust, in a world that is so fast. He tweeted it. Luckily, we're able to track this person. The security people brought this person to book and gave back his phone to him. To God be the glory. But before then, what did Meek say? I do not want anybody to go to jail because of a phone. That is a right thinking brother. He knows what jail is. In fact, he didn't have an idea of the Ghana jail. He should have had the chance to go check out the Ghana jail. The American jail is a paradise as compared to the jailhouse right here in Ghana, where over 2,000 people are queuing to go to toilet, where people are lying on the bare floor, full of bed bugs, and mosquitoes are feeding on their skin like hell. My brother, my sister. But he said, no matter how bad or nice a jailhouse is, nobody deserves to be there. Don't put the brother there. But to those who took him there, the so-called Jubilee House, which I call the Flagstaff House, Jankuma might have a reason. This is the president's daughter, Jankuma. And when she met with Meek, whatever they did together, whatever they said together, whatever who said to who, I hear Jankuma is a married woman. But these days, my brother, my sister, marriage has become a thing of certain significance that is insignificant. You want to hear that grammar again? Marriage has become significant of something that is insignificant. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hear me now. Hear me. They met. Let me give her the respect that she deserves. She probably thinks that, oh, this is an American rapper. He's well known. At least if we don't know him at all, he dated a lady that everybody knew around the world. Nicki Minaj. Oh, good. He can help with the Back to Africa agenda. Better still, return to Ghana agenda or return to Africa agenda. So she decides to invite him to meet the father. He was dressed anyhow, like a prisoner who just broke jail and came out. But it is not his fault. In America, he could even walk bare-chested. Whatever it is, he decides to go to meet the president in this. Jankuma saw it and never said, hey, you know what? Let me get you an African attire. Let's go into a shop and get you a certain beautiful African attire, like the one that I'm wearing. No. They went in there and allowed Ghanaians to talk. Again, when the video was shot, the music video, they had a drone flying. They shot it in the heart of the so-called Jubilee House, the Flagstaff House, as Nkrumah called it. These are drone shots. How were they able to fly a drone at a no-flight zone? This is a no-flight zone. I am an artist myself. And when I shoot my music videos, I use drones some of the time. Drones cannot fly around the Flagstaff House where Meek used his drone. Even the medical center where I shot my very last video, my boo, which is enjoying some good airplay on YouTube, we tried to use a drone and the drone refused to fly because it's a no-flight zone. To be able to fly a drone there, you need security from national security, permission. And you also need permission from aviation. Meek got all the permission and paperwork done, and he flew it. How can you blame such a man? These are your laws. I followed your laws. All right. Now the people come back and they say, oh, you disrespected our people. How did I disrespect your people when they gave me the opportunity We have a president who has lost his senses. We have a president who old age has totally swallowed, and therefore now he should have gone into retirement long ago. Before Ghanaians will know this thing I'm talking about. It might be too late. African presidents are so greedy. People know that these people are losing their senses. Some of them even have stroke. Half of their bodies are dead. Yet they sit in wheelchairs and rule Africa. Half living, half dead, living, ruling the living. Is it possible? Well, Nana Akufo-Addo has reached that stage where his senses are not as sharp as we knew him of. Meek hasn't done anything wrong. And his apology, in fact, has held me so tight to him. He wasn't supposed to apologize. What did he do wrong? But he realized. I saw it when he released it on Instagram. The first few, in fact, comments that came told him, Meek, this is not good. You are disrespecting the people of Ghana. And 2 other people came downstairs and said, hey, Meek, delete the video. If the people say you are disrespecting them, delete it. And he deleted it. Gangster rapper. He could have said, yo, mother, yo, you, like Americans say. After all, he got permission for this. But no, these are my brethren. I don't want to hurt them. He deleted the thing. It's possible this video will never come out again. The president is a disgraceful president. His daughter is a disgraceful daughter. Whoever allowed Meek to fly the drone in the area and shoot a music video in there is nothing but a disgraceful action. These are people who say they are independent. Yet their own indigenous artists will never smell the gates of the Jubilee House, let alone enter there to even meet with the president. But when people come out from the diaspora, they are those that are quick to go in there and say, you see that mentality? They treat people outside this country better than the people in here. So when the people come and they see the fanful respect around them, they soon get to realize that this is nothing but fanful respect. The hospitality is nothing but inferiority complex. Watch this. Come here. Come. This is Sani Dara. What is he saying? He is an icon with access to many places. Sani Dara waits into Meek Mill's Jubilee House video shoot. Former Ghana Football Association spokesperson Sani Dara has defended Meek Mill's access to Jubilee House following his visit to Ghana. Dash it away. And when you read the story, all he's saying is that, listen, Meek Mill has connections. And his connections led him to the presidency. That is correct. But listen, where I will fault Meek Mill is this. In the music video, he was rapping profanity. If you have the opportunity to film at such a high security place, I think that you have to Africanize your lyrics. You cannot come and rap about sex. How you had sex with somebody on the first date in the presidency. You don't need to be an African to know this. This is common knowledge. This is where I fault you, brethren. You are busily rapping lyrics that are lewd at the seat of the Ghanaian presidency. That's my only problem with you. If you were rapping about beautiful Ghana, rapping about how blacks in America and African people can come together and work together, I would have applauded you. Bad. But you were rapping about sex, rapping gangster and all that. We don't need that. We don't need that. It didn't help America and it's not going to help Ghana. But you've gained my respect, bro. You've gained my respect. Listen, it's not your fault. It's the idiots in power who are to blame. The urchins in power, they are to blame. The terrible security that we have here, that is to blame. And the president who has lost his faculties, he is to blame. His daughter, who has no common decency, is the one to blame. But as for you, you are blameless, except for the lewd lyrics. This is the Blakk Pod. Come here, where we speak truth to power. In my name, Blakk RASTA. Come down with the next thing. He says what? Ivorian mercenaries pardoned. And mercenaries is in inverted commas. Were they mercenaries? Remember, just last week we brought you the story of the Ivorian soldiers. About 40 of them and some women who had gone there on a UN mission and were arrested by the president of Mali, or the head of state, and taken to court, tried and found guilty. The UN said, these are not mercenaries. They are working with us to bring peace in the region. Ivory Coast says, why? These are not mercenaries. It brought a big tug of war between the Ivory Coast and Mali. We didn't need that. Now remember, Mali chased out France from Mali and decided to cut all links with France. When France left, remember that Russia came in, and according to France, they had picked up intelligence that some people were trying to blackmail France. So they decided to keep an eye on their camp that they had left in Mali. They sent a drone to fly over the area and videotape whatever was happening. And they saw Russian soldiers bringing dead African bodies into the camp, trying to bury them in the abandoned camp. And France videotaped everything. They saw a Russian holding a phone, talking, videoing, just to say that, listen, watch, we just came here and realized that these dead bodies were dead bodies that France actually brought here after they abandoned this area. They have buried them where? But when the video was released, France also released the master video that they took from the drone. There's a tug of war between Russia and France. America is also part of it. Must Africa become the sacrifice? Every time the people in the West are fighting, Africa becomes the sacrifice. We all become their playground. Look at what happened in Burkina Faso. They are burning down French embassies in there. Now the so-called Francophone seems to be tired of France and trying to chase France away. And Russia is now coming in. Russia is not that much of a friend either. And France is trying to tell everybody, listen, we have been so friendly with you people. Why do you turn your backs on us now? Is Africa truly independent? Or ours is a Mickey Mouse independence? How can you be independent, yet your currency is still controlled by your colonial masters? How can you be independent when every now and then your colonial masters are still feeding you? How can you be independent when your colonial masters still decide who rules you and who doesn't rule you? And who should get out of power and who should come into power? Well, the good news is that those soldiers who were tried, found guilty and jailed, have been pardoned, as you can see from BBC. Ivory Coast President Ouattara welcomes home troops pardoned by Mali. And BBC puts pardoned in quotes, just like we put mercenaries in quote. They were not mercenaries. They were not pardoned because they did no crime. That's why both words are in inverted commas. Ivory Coast President has welcomed home 46 soldiers who were detained in Mali, saying he hopes ties between the two countries can now return to normal. Oh my God, I'm happy they're talking about normalcy. There's been so much abnormality. The Ivorian soldiers were pardoned by Mali's junta leader, Assimi Goïta. A court has sentenced them to 20 years in prison for undermining state security. Ivory Coast denied the allegation, saying they had been sent to Mali to be part of a UN mission fighting militant Islamists. The detention since the arrival in July 2022 caused a diplomatic row Relations between Mali and the West African regional bloc ECOWAS have been strained since the military staged a coup overthrowing President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta in August 2020. Ivory Coast is part of ECOWAS and is regarded as one of the most stringent critics of the coup. Yes, one of the most strident critics of the coup. Dash. My brother, my sister, that is the whole story. Ivory Coast is happy that the 46 soldiers are back home. Why is it that when the West is looking for trouble, Africa always becomes the sacrificial lamb? Why is it that anytime there's a little war in the West, Africa suffers it most? It's time to be truly independent. It's time to rule the people with wisdom and not with strength. We don't need strong men anymore. We just need brains. We don't need strong men anymore. What we need, my brother, my sister, is to have everything in place, working according to plan, or else forget this Mickey Mouse independence, forget about who is helping who, forget about the unity of Africa. Any Tom, Dick, and Harry from the West can throw us into disarray. This is the Black Pot, aka Kukushunamo, where we speak truth to power. When we return, we have more to talk about. Hey! Wayo! This is the Black Pot, aka Kukushunamo, where we speak truth to power. Next story. Now watch it. It's rolling. Zimbabwe leads Africa again. Now since Zimbabwe became Zimbabwe, one man ruled that country and put the name of the country on the map. Zimbabwe is a very wonderful country. Now, it's a country that is the house of the wonderful Victoria Falls. It's a beautiful country that has a checkered history. Now, that country was made extremely popular by Bob Birhane Selassie Kobna Marley. Bob Marley for short. Remember when he made that song, Zimbabwe? At independence, that song was even more popular than the Zimbabwean national anthem. Bob Marley put the name of Zimbabwe on the map. And Zimbabwe did not need to do anything extra to put its name out there. Robert Mugabe, the powerful Pan-Africanist, took over the country and he ruled it all the way from 1980 all the way through till when he was deposed in a house coup, what we call the palace coup. Now, Zimbabwe has gone underground for a long time now after Robert Mugabe. Even before Robert Mugabe was overthrown in that palace coup, the Zimbabwean dollar was nothing to write home about. The Zimbabweans themselves decided that they would not use their own dollar again. They were using the American dollar. And it was in Zimbabwe I found some of the dirtiest dollar notes in the world. Because they do not produce the dollar notes, but they use it in that country. So they circulate it around. This was one of the things Zimbabweans decided to fall on in order to help the country grow and prosper. Zimbabwe went into some serious recession to the point that even finding bread to buy in the shops was difficult. But it looks like for some time now, Zimbabwe is returning. Now this man here that we see is called Mnangagwa. He is the current president of Zimbabwe. He was the vice president to Robert Mugabe. Robert Mugabe sacked him. But in his old age, he picked up a phone one day and called him and said, Mnangagwa, where are you? He said, oh, I am home. He said, what are you doing at home? Why are you not coming to work? He said, Your Excellency, remember you sacked me just last week? He said, me sack you? Where? Come to work. Of course, the man was old. Robert Mugabe should have left power a long time before what happened to him happened. But we still recognize him and respect him as a great leader, a leader who Africa had had. In fact, he should have left at a time that the applause was loudest. But he didn't. When I met him in Zimbabwe, I told him that. And so many people around him were not happy that I told the president that he should leave when the applause was loudest. And that was the time. 2 weeks ago, we talked about Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe has discovered lithium in huge commercial quantities, even beyond what is in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Congo used to have the biggest lithium reserves in the world. Now it is Zimbabwe. And interestingly, Zimbabwe under Mnangagwa is saying that they will not mine their lithium until they are able to build factories that will turn the lithium into finished products. What a great leader. Listen, Africa has become the raw material basket of the West. We don't finish anything. We produce it for the kitchens of the West. We produce some of the best cocoa in Africa. In fact, the best cocoa comes from Ghana, followed by the one in Brazil and then the Ivory Coast. But Ghana has the best cocoa, the sweetest in the world. And it originally came from another African country, Fernando Po, today called Bioko, in the Equatorial Guinea. Ghana produces cocoa yet never produces chocolate. Ghana produces crude oil, but Ghana is not able to finish the crude oil process of making finished products. I'm talking about petrol, diesel, kerosene, and so on and so forth, including bitumen. So Ghana and so many other African countries end up producing raw materials for the West. And for that matter, we do not add value to our raw materials. And it's one of the reasons we are behind when it comes to production. And the production of some of these raw materials come with one very serious negative factor: degradation of the environment. Let's look at lithium production. Let's look at gold production. Let us look at all these mining activities going on. Water bodies are destroyed, flora and fauna destroyed. And the West just waits for you to destroy and degrade your environment. They take your raw materials and then produce into something and sell back to you. So Zimbabwe says, no, we are not going to sell our lithium until we are able to produce factories that will turn the lithium into finished products. And we all know what lithium can do. Lithium can be used to make so many different things, including cell phone batteries and so on and so forth. It's one of the most needed products in the world right now as we stand. And Zimbabwe is standing firm on the lithium. Unfortunately, people are going around digging everywhere in Zimbabwe looking for lithium. Galamsey. In Ghana, we had Galamsey, people going around digging and destroying the place. Illegal mining of gold is happening in Zimbabwe. Theirs is not gold, it's lithium. Everywhere people are digging. But Zimbabwe has chalked another positive. Come, let's look at this. Look at what's on your screen. It says Zimbabwe farming initiatives leading to wheat bumper harvest despite Ukraine war. Why are they talking about Ukraine war? In fact, when we talk about wheat, it's all about Russia and Ukraine. But Zimbabwe is the #1 country right now in Africa producing wheat. What do we use wheat for? Bread and so much more. In fact, wheat alone is enough to feed a whole generation. You can get so many different products out of wheat. Watch this. The president, Emerson Mnangagwa, led government is projecting to harvest between 380,000 and 400,000 tons of wheat this year, which exceeds Zimbabwe's annual needs. This bumper harvest is a result of a collective effort by farmers, financial institutions, the private sector, and the government, which has put forward policies and strategies to attain flour and wheat self-sufficiency during the Russia and Ukraine war. Once the breadbasket of Africa, Zimbabwe has been facing food shortages over the past decades, during which the Southern African nation has been heavily relying on imports from its neighboring countries, as well as Eastern Europe. Zimbabwe's food security took a turn for the West due to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which started last February. Wheat from Russia accounts for at least 50% of the country's wheat imports, according to the Grain Millers Association of Zimbabwe, GMAZ. 50%. I take that again. Wheat from Russia accounts for at least 50% of the country's wheat imports, according to the Grain Millers Association of Zimbabwe. Prices of wheat and fuel have also gone up since March, triggering an incessant rise in prices of staples across Zimbabwe, with GMA's President Tafazwa Musara and other officials attribute to the ongoing war in Eastern Europe. We are affected by the geopolitical developments in Eastern Europe, mainly on 3 fronts that are food, fertilizers, as well as fuel. The Lands Ministry Permanent Secretary John Basira tells the Africa Report, we had to look inward, and our best bet was to attain flour self-sufficiency at any cost. My brother, my sister, Zimbabwe decided to increase its hectareage. Zimbabwe decided to open up. More wheat is being produced. This is the first time that Zimbabwe boasts of 79,000 hectares of land designated for wheat since first growing the crop in 1962. The popular grain is the nation's most significant strategic crop after maize. And the big note there says what? Farmers will always fare better if the conditions are conducive. This is proof of concept, which is very true. It's a collective effort. The whole of Zimbabwe has come together to become self-sufficient. Zimbabwe is producing wheat. And as you saw in that write-up, Zimbabwe is producing more wheat than it requires. So the rest of the wheat is going to be exported. Ethiopia also produces it. But it looks like Zimbabwe is fast becoming Africa's #1 producer of wheat. Come. I'm proud of Zimbabwe for 2 reasons. Zimbabwe has been down the line for so long now. Remember, the West came in with sanctions on Zimbabwe. Serious sanctions. And Zimbabwe was crippled to the ground. But other African countries came in supporting Zimbabwe here and there, all because of Robert Mugabe. Now Robert Mugabe is out. The sanctions are still on, even though a little relaxed here and there. Zimbabwe is returning, but the Zimbabwean currency is also beginning to fall so low below the dollar. And it's also another big problem in Zimbabwe. But Zimbabwe is smart. Zimbabwe has introduced the gold coin. If they play their cards well, this is going to replace the Zim dollar. And if it replaces it, they can now use the gold coin to trade. Remember, in Ghana, there's now a policy called gold for oil in this country. It takes pressure off the Ghanaian currency. Same way, the gold coin in Zimbabwe will take pressure off the Zim dollar so that the Zim dollar can now breathe and transactions can be done with the gold coin. Zimbabwe, we are proud of you. We say continue. But those people going around digging, galamseying, looking for lithium in Zimbabwe is sad. There are so many write-ups about Zimbabwe. And this is one that is not too friendly on Zimbabwe. I'm going to read a little bit of it. Come, let's look at it. It says, time goes backwards in Zimbabwe. And when you read the story, it says the latest spate of desperate measures has seen thousands of lithium hunters invade Goromonzi North to dig for the metal. That's what we're just talking about. Early in the morning, when the clouds are smudged with pink, the dawn chorus fills Zimbabwe's cool air. Robins and flycatchers and the cool queen of the red-eyed doves. What? As the sun lights the horizon, a pair of mouse birds take up position at the top of a bush. Long tails wet with dew, faces turned towards the sun, waiting to catch the first warming rays. You have to just stop and soak in this brief illusion of normal whenever you can, because it is soon replaced with what in January 2023 has again become the nightmare of life in Zimbabwe. Electricity cuts that last 18 to 20 hours a day. Did you hear that? In Zimbabwe, power cuts 18 to 20 hours. That's almost the whole day. You have power for between 6 and how many hours? 6 and just a little bit more hours. My brother, my sister. And it's terrible. 4 and 6 hours a day. The longest time you can have electricity for in Zimbabwe, per this report, is 6 hours a day. Food is getting rotten in fridges and freezers. Water is becoming warm, and they hardly have water running through their pipes. In fact, the longest time, 3 weeks before you get water in your tap. Internet cables dug out and stolen in the darkness of power cuts. Living communications for hundreds of homes gone for days and weeks at a time. Internet cables, they dig out from the ground and they sell, like our scrap boys do here. That's what they do. Where is Zimbabwe headed? Zimbabwe has discovered lithium, and they are galamseying it, stealing it from all over the place and making the country suffer. But the president has sent out army. The army is now taking over the area where the galamsey for lithium is going on. And the Zimbabwean government is doing all it can to be able to build these factories. Unfortunately, another terrible thing is happening. They have given some lithium concessions to the Chinese to raise money to build their own factories. Zimbabwe, wherever you do, look at the bigger African picture. Can other African countries that are prosperous enough go into Zimbabwe and do business with Zimbabwe in terms of this lithium, rather than have the Chinese come in and carry everything to China? Can we look at that? What is the OAU all about? Is it all about political interest and political vituperations? Or inter-border trade can also happen? Think about it. This is the Blakk Pot, aka Kuku Shodomo, where we speak truth to power.
Go on, Skipper George.
Blackpot, Cuckoo Show, man.
This is the Blackpot, aka Kuku Shodomo, where we speak truth to power. The final story we have for today rolls on your screen. Watch it. What does it say? Presidential bed wetting. South Sudan cracks down on journalists. We all saw the president who stood at a parade, and then all of a sudden, choo. You can see that this is not a man who is healthy. President Chir stands there holding his walking stick, and then he starts wetting himself. The urine goes all the way down, and the journalist makes sure that the camera is focused on the president. President gets angry because he's been embarrassed, and BBC has been able to cover this. Watch it. And this is from BBC. It says 6 journalists in South Sudan have been arrested over the circulation. Come here, let's read it properly. Come. It says 6 journalists in Southern Sudan have been arrested over the circulation of footage appearing to show President Salva Kiir wetting himself, media rights groups say. In December, a video shared on social media appeared to show Mr. Kiir urinating on himself at the national anthem, as the national anthem played at a function. 6 staff from the state broadcaster were detained this week. The Committee to Protect Journalists, CPJ, is now calling for their release. Patrick Oyet, president of the South Sudan Union of Journalists, told Reuters that the journalists are suspected of having knowledge of how the video of the president urinating on himself came out. The South Sudan Broadcasting Corporation says the footage was never aired. The arrests match a pattern of security personnel resorting to arbitrary detention whenever officials deem coverage unfavorable, said CPJ's Sub-Saharan Africa representative Motuki Momo, calling for their unconditional release. South Sudan Information Minister Michael McQuay told Voice of America Radio that people should wait to learn why the journalists were detained. Rights groups have frequently called on the South Sudanese authorities to stop harassing and threatening journalists. Mr. Kiir became the first president of South Sudan, Africa's newest country, in 2011. But the country has suffered numerous crises since then, enduring brutal conflict, political turmoil, natural disasters, and hunger. This is Kiir. He traveled to America and he got a gift from the American people, this hat that he's wearing. He loved it and he went out and bought 5,000 more of this on the streets of New York and Washington. And he's been wearing this in his country. The man is sick. But the greedy African leaders that we have, they wait until the applause dies out quietly and the boos start coming in before they will resign. That's if they will resign at all. Like it's happening in Ghana with Nana Akufo-Addo and Ken Ofori-Atta. This president was at the parade so sickly. He forced himself to be there because he wanted to commission a certain project. Whilst the national anthem was playing, he started urinating on himself. And when you look at the video, he looked down and saw that he was wetting himself, but he couldn't move. But this was covered by only one media house, the state broadcaster. In Ghana, it is the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, now called Ghana TV. In South Sudan is the South Sudan Broadcasting. They were the only people, because they are those that the presidents normally control. They are those that are controlled by the nation. The other private media houses cannot be controlled. They are quite independent. But with the state broadcaster, the state decides what goes on air and what shouldn't. So after the footages were taken, Mr. President warned that the video should never come out, and it didn't come out. But some journalists sat back and thought that let the world see that our president is so greedy, so sick, he doesn't want to leave power. He's been there from 2011. How many years now? 12 solid years is still there. And he's so sickly. Our country is suffering hunger. Our country is in a political turmoil. Let this thing come out. By the power of social media, it came out and the whole world saw it. President has sent for 6 of these journalists from the state broadcaster. And they are now languishing in the boldest of jails. Only God knows what is happening to them. Listen, don't threaten journalists. Come here. Respect journalists and give them press freedom. If you didn't urinate on yourself, the video wouldn't have captured you urinating. Nobody forced you to urinate on yourself. The camera would only capture what it sees. It's not voodoo. You urinated on yourself. You are sick. It should rather open you up to the whole world to even help cure you. Better still, it's time for you to leave power. I want to say thank you. I appreciate you. This has been the Blakk Pot, a.k.a. Kukushunamo, where we speak truth to power. I say thank you. Pick up our numbers on the screen and do business with us. The more you do business with us, the more you give us the political and the financial muscle to be able to operate. We love you and we appreciate you. My name, Blakk Rasta. Hey! Wayo!